And with that, I welcome you into Coach's Corners. The date is May 22nd on a Monday night. And I'm here live as the Denver Nuggets are facing the Los Angeles Lakers. That's right, the Lakers are trying to not be eliminated here while the Denver Nuggets are trying to eliminate them. It's a pretty simple concept there. So we're gonna be like kind of watching along as I'm doing the pod here. A couple things to touch on. Not nothing too big. It's the springtime. The only times really happening are the playoffs here, and yeah, football's dead. Baseball's going on just because it is always kind of just going on. It just is. So those things are happening. But yeah, we'll be watching along here. Probably after I wrap up the storylines, I'll be talking while the game's going on. But we do have a couple things to talk about. And we're going to start on the other side of the bracket from the West. That's not happening right now. And that's the Celtics and the Heat. And, buddy, I don't know. I don't know what Boston does from here. I don't know what their thoughts are on a counter. I don't know what the Boston idea is here to come back in this series because they are now down 3-0. Heat won 128-102, and Boston has to win 4 straight games in order to win the series now, and that has never been done in NBA history. Down 3-0. So, first things first for the Celtics. I don't know. The Heat is on. The Heat is officially on the franchise now. Joe Mazzulla was likely, heading towards maybe being fired here because after like just getting the interim tag, slapped off of him, it's gone probably as soon as the series, if they get swept here, embarrassed again, because that's what it is. They're not getting just flat out beat. They're getting embarrassed because the effort level is pretty much diminished down to a negative. Like, it's very bad on that front. Tatum and Brown playing bad. Horford, who is supposed to be your veteran leader, is just not doing well either. No one is playing well. No one is safe here outside of Rob Williams. He's the only guy that's really doing anything that makes sense. And the Heat are once again just doing Heat things where they pick up a bunch of scrappy underdogs and just dominate their way through the playoffs and probably to another finals appearance, since the bubble was their last one. And yeah, no, it's quite shocking to see a team like the Heat just after being so bad for the regular season. They lose a couple players in the first round, and they just keep chugging along. And I have no words. I really do have no words for what this is. It's shocking. It's really is shocking to see a team kind of just fold and give up as easily as the Celtics are in this series. So I predict that it's going to end. It's going to end pretty fittingly tomorrow night. And we won't have to worry about the Celtics Heat games like series ever again. Like we'll know by the time I'm live again on Wednesday. But as of right now, it's hard for me to envision the Celtics making much of a noise because they just it literally doesn't seem like they have a heart because they're playing with nothing. They're playing with such a nothingness. It's just awful. It's like a team that you would see go through like early season woes in like November. Maybe March, they get on a bad skid. Not the playoffs, but that's where they are, and it's likely looking to be a failure of a season. So, like I said, hats off to the Heat. They're a team going, and I don't even want to. I feel like they're not a real 8th seed because they did finish 7th, and the play-in game knocked them down to 8. Like I kind of refuse to believe that they are a true 8 seed. Gosh dang it, LeBron just hit a 3-pointer. And, they now got knocked down to his 8 seed because they lost to the Hawks in the play-in, which seems more absurd by the days it goes by. But, it's just... It's one of those that are just playing so hot. Like, they're just on fire. And it's not even, they finished the season well or anything. Like they were minutes away from being eliminated by the Bulls, but they weren't. And Jimmy Butler's taken over, and you get the role players playing well. It's one, the role players playing well is something that doesn't happen often, on the road especially. But it feels like every Miami game there's been a Gabe Vincent, there's been a Caleb Martin is the best player on the floor for a stretch. Max Strus is hitting threes, Duncan Robinson's hitting threes, like guys that are good players, but to get this like consistent level of play from them, it is confusing to say the least. But they are doing it, and if they just keep going, they keep going. So Jamal Murray gets the up and under over AD. And so that series is going on. But real quick, I wanted to shift into a different NBA topic and talk about Carmelo Anthony. That's right, Carmelo Anthony hanging him up, deciding to retire. LeBron hit another three. Of course he did. Carmelo Anthony signed to retire after a long while, in 19 years in the NBA. Finally decided to hang it up. Hasn't played anywhere this year. It just kind of was a free agent. And so, yeah, and I want to give props to Melo because it's one of those, he's a player that I'd say is polarizing because of how he's gone through his career at certain points. Because when he first got drafted to Denver, Denver's not a big, crazy town or anything like that exciting. But he made them pretty exciting. It was a very fun time to be a Denver Nuggets fan. They made the Western Conference Finals. They did a lot of successful things there. But then he kind of nudged his way out to go to New York. And, that whenever a player does that, it always kind of, there's going to be a portion of fans that just don't like that type of move. And that happened to Melo. And, that kind of just stuck around with him because, he went to New York. Kind of brought the Knicks back to relevance for the first time since the early 2000s, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Made them fun, was incredible scorer there because he is an incredible scorer. And, he played for the Knicks for a while. Then they kind of stunk, and he didn't even force his way out. He was on a contract, a big contract, wasn't healthy, and they weren't winning during that, so of course he gets blamed. He gets traded to OKC, and it kind of just like he had to basically take the role of a bench player. He had to come back down off his pedestal and become, a guy that, for a player that was like the face of a franchise ever since he was like 20 when he got drafted by Denver, to take that type of step back the way he did was hard, and I don't think people understand that as much as, common fan or as like a player in the situation would understand it, the resistance to that. But he did, and he had a couple productive years towards the end, and goes out as I think a player that like we didn't see him come off the bench and score 2 points per game like Paul Pierce or anything. I think our mind is a little bit happier when we think of Melo because we think of the good times. But I just want to salute him. And a part of the 2003 draft class, there's only one player left in the NBA from that draft class, and of course it's the guy who has been making my life miserable as well as playing really, really good tonight, LeBron James. LeBron James is the last player from this draft class. If we just look through it, I mean, first of all, Hall of Fame top 5 outside of the second pick, Darko Milicic. That's right, Darko played on the Pistons, actually was the first to be a champion out of the top 5. But he was a bench player. He kind of stunk his entire career. Definitely did not live up to expectations and was not a better player than Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, or Dwayne Wade. So that was always funny. LeBron was the chosen one. He got picked first. Of course he did. And then Melo at 3. Of course, Melo, like I said, carved out a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. One of the top 100 players in the NBA history. I think I have him in the 50s on my list. I did a whole top 100 we might go over at some point here. But I had him like 55, I want to say. So Carmelo here at number 3. Chris Bosh was 4. Dwayne Wade 5. Chris Kaman at 6. That's a real name out of Central Michigan. That's hilarious. Productive big man, a couple-time All-Star. Kirk Heinrich, he played for the Hawks for a little bit. TJ Ford was a productive player. So a good draft. Nick Collison has his jersey retired by the Thunder. That's a fun fact not because he was a fantastic player for them, I guess it was in Seattle here, but to the OKC. But he was like such, I guess, a big part of their community and everything. But he got his jersey retired by OKC. Luke Ridnour was a productive player. David West, 18th overall here. That's a steal because he was a very productive player too. Like a role guy, like a good starter. Not anything crazy, but Boris Diaw was good. Carlos Delfino stuck around. Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk, the NBA analyst who sucks. Leandro Barbosa was the 6th man of the year. So productive players. Luke Walton, who was a former coach, bad guy, bad person off the court. Steve Blake was a backup point guard. Willie Green, coach of the Pelicans now. I almost said Hornets because I saw New Orleans Hornets, but Willie Green's a coach now to Detroit Mercy. Zaza Pachulia, Matt Bonner. Ooh, pause. Mo Williams was an all-star at one point. James Jones, multiple-time all-star. And this is the guy I wanted to get to. Kyle Korver, one of my favorite players of all time. One of the best shooters of all time. I'm going to click on him because I can. 3-point percentage. Shot 53% one year when he was the all-star with Atlanta, the year I had season tickets. 49% from 3. Oh, man. Love Kyle Korver. Yeah, that 2003 draft is known as very legendary because of the top 5 here. But it has to be noted that it really is one of the best draft classes ever. I mean, because it's like so rare you get drafts where there are as many players that I named, productive players like that, just like bench guys, like guys that play minutes. Like, we'll go to the 2004 draft, and they're in commercial break for the Nuggets, Lakers, by the way. Lakers are up, I think, by 6, but going to this is kind of a loaded class too. Now that I look at it. Dwight Howard first. Dwight Howard's a Hall of Famer. Emeka Okafor was productive. Ben Gordon was the 6th man of the year. Sean Livingston was a big part of those Warriors teams. Devin Harris had productive years. Luol Deng, very productive player. Andre Iguodala. Chris Humphries. Al Jefferson was a couple-time All-Star. Josh Smith, Atlanta legend. J.R. Smith. Jameer Nelson was a productive player. Delonte West, I hope he's doing well. Tony Allen, Kevin Martin. Crazy, I didn't realize he was this old. Anderson Varejao. And then in this second round, there are nearly as many names. And Gordon just dropped the pass. 2005 draft is going to hurt my feelings because I know who is on this list. Yeah. Andrew Bogut, 1st overall. Good starter. Big part of those Warriors teams in the mid-2010s. Jamal Murray on the drive. Kicks out. Michael Porter. There we go. Michael Porter Jr. has not made a 3, I think, besides this one, all game long. So that's a big 3 for him. But yeah, Andrew Bogut, productive. Marvin Williams to Atlanta. Marvin Williams was a good player. He was a fine player. He was not the 2nd overall pick worthy of a player. Like, he did not live up to this value. People will label him a bust because of that. Hard for me to call a good role player a bust because, it's tough. That's tough scenes. But Darren Williams, Chris Paul following him, that is what makes him a bust, is because Darren Williams was best point guard in the league next to Chris Paul in the late 2010s. So that's a tough scene. Jamal Murray, shake and bake, makes it over Tristan Thompson. Raymond Felton, 5th pick. That's crazy. Channing Frye. Andrew Bynum was a pretty productive center for a while. Like Danny Granger, Gerald Green, Nate Robinson, Jarrett Jack. We're just naming guys. This is just the naming guys part of the pod, where we're just naming a bunch of NBA players that I recognize. Amir Johnson, 56. Marcin Gortat, 57. 2006 draft. Oh, this one was bad. This was a really bad draft. Because Andrea Bargnani. Now, he was a first pick, and he's similar to Marvin Williams, but was a bust because of the players that were just taken below him. But Bargnani was tough because I don't think he was as good of a role player as Marvin Williams, and I think he stuck around as a starter longer than he should have, and people don't remember fondly of him because of that. But LaMarcus Aldridge second. He's a really good player, maybe a Hall of Famer. I don't know. Brandon Roy, Rudy Gay in this draft, J.J. Redick, Thabo Sefolosha, Kyle Lowry, Rajon Rondo. Kyle Lowry really is old. People don't talk about how old Kyle Lowry is, I think, sometimes, just because he's a late bloomer. He was not good until, like, his, like, late 20s, so PJ Tucker's in this draft. Steven Novak, noted three-point shooter. Paul Millsap. I knew Paul Millsap was down here. And yeah, see, after Paul Millsap, there's like a Leon Poe, I guess, and Ryan Hollins. Like, outside of that, some rough names. Tristan Thompson just got a dunk. What is this? Oh no! And Freddie Freeman hit a home run to go over the Braves. This is live sports are killing me right now. But the larger point was, salute to Carmelo Anthony, Hall of Famer, great player, fun guy to watch. I think aesthetically he was very fun when he wasn't, torching your team. So, but yeah, with all that being said, I guess we can watch some of this Nuggets-Lakers game until maybe we go to a commercial break, wrap up the show there. Oh, wow, a timeout. Okay, that's awesome. A timeout is exactly where we want to go. I do want to say the Lakers crowd sucks. The Lakers crowd looks like a bunch of coked out 50-year-olds and a couple famous people, which are kind of coked out 50-year-olds. They all look terrible. It's not a very appealing, like, demographic to look at. They're not a pretty bunch, I gotta say. Let's look at the win probability charts. Let's just play around here. Oh, the Lakers, 77% likely to win. Did they open this game? They opened this game as a 54% chance to win. That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know what the Nuggets are doing. Gosh, dang it. But, well, I guess while they're in timeout, let's look at some MLB standings. I kind of like to do this every now and then. Kind of, just reset, where we last left off. Some of these guys change, but I don't think a lot of changing here. But Tampa Bay is still on top of here. The AL East, they're still on top of, like, the Baltimore Yankees. Baltimore's still hanging around, too. They're second in this division, 3 games back of the Rays. The Yankees are kind of getting hot at the right time. They've been playing really, really well lately. They're on a 4-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10. Then you have the Twins winning the worst division, and one of the worst divisions in baseball, I should say. They're on top of this one over the Tigers are second in this division. That should tell you how the Central is going. Guardians not living up to expectations, are they now? Then you go to the AL West, some good teams here, some competitiveness outside of the Oakland Athletics, who are 10-38. Good Lord. But the Rangers are still on top, only a game and a half over the Astros right now. Angels aren't terrible, they're just hovering around 500. Then we go to the NL East. Got the Braves on top there, up 5 games up on the Mets. And the Marlins are kind of hanging around. The Phillies are trying to fight back into it. But, yeah, Braves are on top there. The Brewers are a half game up on the Pirates now. The Pirates are finally, I think, coming back down to earth. Tough for them. And the Cardinals are starting to win some games, too. That's kind of tough. Because they were a dumpster fire, but now they've passed the Cubs and the Reds. But And then the NL West, of course, the Dodgers have retaken their throne as the first place team in that division over the Diamondbacks. So nothing real shocking here. If we look at the wild card picture, like I said, the Orioles, Yankees, Astros are the top 3 teams in there. Boston Red Sox, 1.5 games out. They've been playing decent lately, but, And then go over to the National League wild card. They have the Diamondbacks, Pirates, and Mets, which 2 of those teams, have not been around in a while. So them getting a playoff game, I think, would be electric. That'd be really fun for their fan base and everything. Just because I think they have good fans. It's just, if they're not good lately, who's going to show up? But I think if they get a playoff game, then, we get some stuff there cooking. But Nuggets-Lakers back on. We'll see how it goes. Denver's down 10. Process has not been very good on offense. Has not been clean, I should say. They have these runs where, you get a role player or two that's, hitting three-pointers. Shout out Puppy, who's passed out over my left shoulder. But, the Nuggets, the process has not looked clean tonight. Their defense, I don't think their defense has been relatively good. On LeBron, especially. I mean,
LeBron being able to punish all his defenders, make perimeter shots. Schroeder pokes it away from Murray.
I don't want to listen to the. Okay, I didn't want that to happen. I don't know why Mike Breed invaded our ears there. I'm sorry. So I'll try and get that score back on there. Jokic hits a 3, 36-43. That came out of absolutely nowhere. I am so sorry if that destroyed anyone's eardrums, because that tried to kill mine. But oh my gosh, the YouTube, the podcast listeners are in the best world right now, because they don't have to see me struggle through trying to find this game on not ESPN, where Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breed are yelling in my ear. So I was about to say, oh my gosh. This is so chaotic. Okay, sure. We're just going to watch it like this. But anyways, someone was saying, whoa. Why is LeBron trying to fight Aaron Gordon? He's just pushing him. What is he doing? LeBron's just literally putting his shoulder, is just his elbow to his throat. What is that? What is that? Oh, he's in his feelings because he got tapped in the face. Of course, it's not a technical or anything. No, we get a big scrum like that, and of course it's not a technical. Why would it ever be that for LeBron? Oh, D'Lo. D'Angelo Russell is such a mess. I don't know if I've seen a player go as ice cold as D'Angelo Russell has, because he's just such an aggressive non-factor in this game. There we go. I got the big screen of this, but yeah, no, he's his plus minus has to be all time, just low in this series. It's been so bad. Oh, Jokic with the flip. It's tough because the CBS Sports here in front of me is just quicker than I am. And, of course, LeBron drives in. But someone was bringing up the point is which one is more disheartening, is Mike Breen saying bang or Kevin Harlan saying good. And I gotta say, I feel like it's Mike Breen by a considerable margin, because him saying bang is just, it's normally it's not always a dagger, but it always feels like a dagger, because sometimes he lets it hit and then says nothing and just lets it hang over your head. and it just sits a little bit nastier with you when he does that. But both Mike Breen and Kevin Harlan are two of the best in the game, like just in sports, just all around. And Jokic misses the three. But yeah, no, it's one of those. It's both of them are just very disheartening with their calls, and I mean, I feel like that's how you can tell they're a great, great commentators, because like if you hear one and you automatically are like, oh my gosh, because you know what it means, you know the emotion that it evokes, without him saying like, and the 3-pointer's good. That's really bad for the team. Like you already know like how bad it is for the team. That's stuff like that. I think it tells you how good they are because you say one word with a certain tone, and it feels like a death sentence. So that's just like examples of their greatness. And trying to think of other, like Jim Nantz is obviously another famous play-by-play guy. Gus Johnson has kind of been the big, I don't want to say fast riser, but for what's his name, for college football specifically, he's been the one that's been like recently like, yeah, he's the best in the game. Thinking of the Saturday night game they do on like ABC with Herb Street and I think it's Fowler, they're okay. People hate Kirk Herbstreit, especially around here, because they hate the Ohio State bias, I think. But I mean, I don't think he has that bad of a bias. I think he's actually a pretty good commentator. I have no beef with Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's a fine analyst. Like he doesn't do any. He's not like evokes anything like negative in me. Greg Olson and Kevin Burkhardt are the new Fox guys for the NFL. I like them a lot. Sometimes they kind of like get hung up on something, I think, that's like doesn't need as much time on it, as like they spend too much time on a penalty talking about how much it impacted, or they bring it up constantly. That kind of stuff doesn't get it going for me. Like I don't like that much, but I think they're overall pretty good at just like when you look at the pure game. It's 49, 42, 50. It's 50-42 on the screen here. Oh man, I think it's more disheartening to see like the bad things that are happening live on the screen and then watching it happen on my like YouTube TV. I think that's way worse than like actually watching it happen bad live, because I'm assuming they're gonna score here or something. Oh, come on. Yeah, that was a bad pass. Yeah, see, like a 3-pointer from Dennis Schroeder, that sucks. But I'm trying to think of other play-by-play guys. The basketball ones are covered. Baseball's so weird because there's so many games, so obviously no one's really paying attention to national broadcast, really. It's only just like your local guys, and I don't know many local guys outside of the Braves and stuff, so... Yeah, I don't know, the defense from the Nuggets just is not really that much there tonight. Like, I mean, LeBron's really forcing a lot of action. This is like kind of what LeBron used to do all the time, with just like existing and just being LeBron on offense. He's just such like a storm that attracts so much attention. It's like, well, I guess this is the offense, and we're just going to suffer because we're trying to cover Jokic so much, but we can't, do anything else. It's tough because Schroeder's having a good game now. I mean, Austin Reeves is obviously, I feel like, going to have a big second half. This seems like the Nuggets are kind of just waiting to get to halftime, Because like the Nuggets, like if they just get to halftime and then they make they'll make the bigger adjustments that'll like help them significantly. But like right now, it's like during the timeout, it's kind of hard. Like yeah, that was a tip-in layup by LeBron. He has 27, so like they'll have to do something bigger during the halftime. But obviously, I think the Nuggets have come back from. Oh no, it's the largest lead of the series. They've come back from deficits similar to this, so. Game isn't over, but I think that might do it for me. I think I might pause there. It was good watching along here last couple minutes, talk play-by-plays, whatnot. But yeah, I'm Lucas Kochevar, as always. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a thumbs up on the video. Do all the good things that make my life better, make me feel better about myself. And check out the video tomorrow. I have a new bracket fight video coming out, of course. Coming out, drops at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And as always,